What's up? What's up, everybody?
Yo, Hollow Cult. How's it going? Happy New Year, everyone.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Heck yeah, 2023 coming in hot.
hopefully,
Excited to be
hopefully,
back today.
hopefully, this is a good year for everybody.
Yeah, let's manifest a good year
Big facts.
for the
I can
for
get
the
behind
whole
that. I can get behind that.
for the whole Hollow crew. Well, we're glad you're all here to hang out with us today. Hope everybody's got some weird stuff they'd like to talk about later on in the show. The more we dive into this, the more excited I get about it.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
After every episode, me and Kyle just kind of sit here and we're like, this was pretty good time. Pretty good
Yeah,
time.
I always enjoy it. It's awesome.
It is awesome. So, what do you got going on, Kyle? What have you been working on, bud?
I got, like I said, I've been digging into the mystical items a lot here lately, and some of that stuff is going to be so much fun to talk about. Like it's some of them, like I meant to do like a short spiel on each of these things, kind of like you did with the Santa Claus encounters. But then I get to digging into them, and I'm like, there's so much meat here. Like I got to tell the story. You have to tell the story behind it. You have to. And so I've been working on that. But I popped the holophone open today. I've been talking to some dude through there, and of course everything is anonymous. Like everything needs to be kind of redacted, more or less, but it does regard an old friend of ours, a very old friend, the unicorn friend of ours, which is Egress. And this person, this dude claims they know for a fact it was 100% an alphabet agency. They know for a fact.
Oh.
And they put me on a possible path because, of course, I said, okay, so how did you find out for certainty that this was a government agency? And they're like, well, here's the path that you're going to have to follow to uncover this information. Okay, so as most people are with certain subjects, they get nervous talking about it because of the possible outreach. You know what I mean?
I'll give them that.
Right. So I mean, it's fair. I'm not going to argue it, and not to mention it's an avenue to travel down now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's 100% an avenue, and apparently there's somebody in, which I'll tell you off air, but there's somebody. There's somebody. Right. There's somebody in our circle, in our atmosphere, that can help verify this information. So they're not super close with us right now. I've been messaging them on and off, trying to set up a show with them, and they can apparently verify some of this information. So it's going to be an interesting conversation, to say the least. And I mean, it only makes sense. Like a lot of that makes sense if you kind of recap all of Egress, but it is interesting for that to be brought back into the topic, into the limelight, so to speak.
That was always one of the theories that was always on the board.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Something bigger than what we essentially thought it was.
Right.
And I mean, after T came in and hit us with all, okay, after the fake number was texting you, the DC number,
yeah,
and hitting all that stuff. I mean, T was digging around and linking things to Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
specific addresses and all sorts of shit.
Right.
So
I don't even think we came public with T either. So this is like
No.
officially the first mention of T.
Yeah, well, like I said, we're gonna eventually. I guess we're gonna have to pick it up and do like a
Yeah.
total recap.
Well, and on
Since
top of that, we're gonna follow this lead without question.
Yeah.
We're going down it. So
yeah, we'll do a recap because I know people on our show never really got the whole story after our interview with the podcaster
Tony.
that shall not the podcaster that shall not be
Oh,
named.
yes.
Because we didn't talk about it on our show anymore. We talked about it on other people's show, but we didn't really
Right.
go back
Correct.
into it.
Right.
So there's probably a lot of people that listen to our show and don't listen to other shows that are just kind of have stopped at that point.
Yeah, and it's scattered in the wind. The story is in fragments across different platforms. So it would be interesting to see what would happen, what maybe we can stir by chasing this avenue.
That's so weird. That is so weird.
Yeah.
If it is legit, what
Yeah.
kind of fucking psyops dumb shit would that be linked to? I feel like they were targeting a very specific individual,
Probably
and we just accidentally
stumbled
fell into it.
Yeah.
And we were interacting and reacting, and they're like, let's see how far we can push these two.
Right. Absolutely. And they were all in until, we basically didn't do what they wanted us to do. And then they pulled the rug out from underneath us.
So, I mean, if we can narrow this down, that would tie up a lot of loose ends, especially on his end, where we thought some
Correct.
shady things were going on.
Yeah.
We could have been dealing with the same entity from two separate avenues.
Yeah,
that were making us both putting us both out one another.
It's funny you say that because, and like I said, I'm not going to get into specifics right now because obviously you and me need to kind of root through the grass, so to speak. But there are two separate entities involved from the information that I'm getting. They're two separate entities, but they're one and the same.
Interesting.
Right.
Now I just want to talk about this. Did he give, I mean, you don't have to say it, but did he give a specific agency that he thinks was involved?
No. Just said Alphabet.
Interesting.
Yeah, so
which is kind of also down the road that T went.
Correct. And to be fair, Charlie chose a different path, but regardless, it would have had to been through an Alphabet agency.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly in that conversation.
Yeah.
Because Charlie suggested that it was some type of government experimental AI.
So it also could lead credence to the blacked out SUV that Sean saw.
Absolutely. 100%. So it kind of pops the vein open again, and like I said, so with that being said, I am going to try to fast track getting a show together with said person in our atmosphere because we need to have a conversation.
Yeah. Dude, oh man. How close was this person to us when we were delving through all this?
Not at all.
Interesting.
Nope. Just kind of recently, past month or two, entered our atmosphere.
Interesting.
Yeah. You'll know who it is as soon as I say, but I'm not going to say live on there. Because like I said, I don't want to. I know that I'm alluding to a lot of possibilities, but I also don't want to make this big thing if it doesn't turn out to anything. And either way, we'll let everybody know. Like hey, it just didn't come to fruition. That's just all there is to it.
I think everybody has to understand that we have no idea what was behind Egress. We're still as just in the dark as everybody else is. So when these little tidbits pop up, we go full bore after them to try to figure out what it was.
Yeah, and I still need to clear a weekend and call somebody from the north. That's all I'll give there, on another government entity that apparently is super fucking bad news. But they want to have a conversation off the record from what I gather, and that's assuming this person, he or she, is still up to have the conversation about it. Because last I talked to them, they were stating they did not want to be any part of the show. They were okay with telling the story, and then we relay that message in our own way. But I just flat out told him, I said, I want the name. I want the name of whatever it is, because I'm going to look into them. And they said I would highly advise not doing that.
Well, we don't.
And I'm like, really?
We don't
like
highly take advice.
Right. Like, how are you going to reach out with that and then not expect us to look into it?
Huh. Which also makes sense as to why they could have just dropped us the way they did. They got whatever they wanted to put out to the person they wanted to put it to.
It's
We were just
100%
like
possible.
this. We were just like this side quest, like, oh, these two bumpkins from Illinois are blowing up our phone. Or we could have brought so much light on them after we went on Tony's show and then we went on Sam's show that they're like, oh shit, cat's out of the bag.
Right.
But since they didn't give any information for it to be linked back to anyone, they just pulled the plug on it.
Right. And, or to be fair, what I feel like would most likely happen, they do what the Shadow Corps do best. They uproot, hand off, and rename.
Start something different.
Yeah, it's the same thing. They just run it with, because a lot of times, like if the NSA has it, they'll hand it off to the CIA. You know, they'll kill, say, Operation Mouse. They'll kill it with the NSA, and then the CIA will pick it up and they'll call it Operation Soda Can. You know, they just rename. It's the same exact thing, but they make it hard for people like us to follow the paper trail, to follow any trail, because it just gets scattered to the wind.
Yeah, that is, man. Now you got my wheels turning. I don't even know what I was going to talk about tonight. I'm just, they always got to pop back in. They always just got to keep the carrot dangling in front of me.
Yeah, dude, it's, I don't know. It's cool timing. I'll say that.
It's
they
almost
also, oh, go ahead.
I said it's almost exactly the time we got into it 2 years ago.
Yeah, that is weird.
Almost falls right in line. I don't know.
Yeah, that's weird. But they also, this dude on the holophone also gave advice for your brother, because they said they're worried about your brother. They said I'll have to relay that message to him, because I don't exactly remember what the procedure they wanted him to follow, but they're worried that a outside entity could be trying to fuck with him,
like a non-human type entity.
Yeah.
Solid. Well, right. Not solid, but
right. But
I think he's in here. He commented.
I saw his name earlier. Yeah, I saw his name earlier. They did give 2 suggestions as to help with that situation. I said I'll 100% relay the message, but this dude thinks that your brother is more or less protected. So this thing is finding other ways to try to influence his life, because it can't directly like get into him. So it's trying outside ways of causing chaos.
Taking guards off the ankle grinder.
Well, I don't know that was necessarily the entity's fault there, but
let that be known, Holocult. Always leave guards on your tools.
Dylan said the same thing. He's like, that explains the grinder.
Yeah. Oh man. I don't even know what to do with this information now.
It's I literally like it wasn't planned at all. I had something completely else planned to talk about, but like 10 minutes prior to us getting on here, I started getting the messages on the good old holophone. And like I said, I've talked to dude before, and he has showed me actual conversations with nefarious entity that he's had.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So it kind of
Huh.
it might be another kick off to the story. You know.
What? They are, man. They are my dragon. I'm always gonna chase Egress until I figure out
That's
what it
so
is.
weird you chose that word. Because that was what I was originally going to talk about tonight. Was dragons.
Synchronicities.
Right.
Ooh.
I was literally going to talk about that because I was listening to Joe Rogan today, and I was listening to Joe Rogan on the Boneyard guy from Alaska, which I'm gonna tell you right now, if a zombie apocalypse is gonna start, it's gonna be because of that guy, because he ate 20,000-year-old frozen mammoth. He did do that.
We are not a species that's meant to survive for very long.
Right. He said him and one of my old friends, Jack Daniels, got comfy, and they decided, because they found a fully frozen mammoth, and they're like, hey, we're just gonna barbecue it. Why not? We'll cut a slab off and try it.
Why?
I don't know.
Perfectly. Oh, dude, I don't even know. I don't know where this conversation is going now.
Well, what I was getting to about the dragons is that, and it's a really good point. I don't know. I don't know if Joe was talking to him or if I saw a clip. Anyways, he's talking to this guy, and they got to talking about fossils. And Joe was explaining like how difficult it is for something to be fossilized. Like the environment has to be legitimately perfect for something to be fossilized. And there are apparently, Joe's like, there are theories out there, and it's a pretty decent one, that dragons actually existed, because through that time frame, you have an entire part of the planet that is drawing things that they are seeing, right? But if you were to look at a bird's bones, because birds can fly, birds' bones are very porous. They're not dense. So it makes it super, super hard and almost impossible for birds to be fossilized. Not that it is impossible, but it's extra hard for that to happen. So in theory, if a dragon really existed, its bones would have to most likely be porous. And so it's possible there were dragons at one point, and they really did have knights going out and fighting these things. And when they died, they just weren't able to be fossilized because the conditions weren't right for the things to be turned into fossils. And therefore, if we killed them all, which is what the humankind is really good at doing, making things go extinct, then it is possible. It's within the realm of possibility that none of them, or at least that we have been able to discover, none of them have been found in fossils.
Kind of touching on this subject, but also different. Have you looked at all the medieval paintings where they have knights fighting giant snails?
No, but that's awesome.
Look into it. Like dozens
Okay.
of paintings of knights fighting snails that are bigger than humans.
Okay, so
Of all things to be afraid of.
That's okay. Hear me out. On a scale from 1 to 10, how hard do you figure it's going to be to fight a snail?
Well, I can outrun them, so that's a bonus.
Well, I mean, if you had a sword, a big ass sword, and you're supposed to fight a snail, I mean, come on. I feel like my odds are about 100% in surviving that fight.
Well, I mean, they didn't specify what weapons the snails have.
That's true. That's fair. But
They
just
didn't
going
paint it.
off
What if the
about what I
snail?
know about
What if
snails,
the?
I'm saying I'll poke that thing with that sword and it's done.
They're big.
It's gonna
Look it
stick.
up. Google
I
knights
will.
versus snails, and it'll
I
bring up
will.
all these old ass paintings
That's so
of these
fucking
giant
cool.
snails. What if the snails
Now,
have a Gatling gun in their shell?
well, then
The snails would win.
that
But
changes the dynamic a little bit.
clearly, the knights won because I know there are no more giant snails. You know, the knights eradicated them.
Touche. Let's see here. Let's look at these images. Knight
yeah.
versus snail. There's manuscripts on it.
Yeah.
Wow. There
I don't
really
know.
is.
I don't
Oh
know
shit!
what the hell was
This
going
snail
on.
is poking this knight's shield with its little antenna thing.
Yeah.
Maybe
See?
that thing's got sting. Then that
They
that
got
is an
weapons.
equalizer there. Then, oh, I see one
Maybe
dude.
they're
He's just praying to it. That's a bad move because it's going to eat you.
dude. I just be throwing salt. I don't know if salt works on snails the way it works on slugs.
Works on slugs.
We're gonna try it.
They got to be from the same family, right?
But for real though, what were
That's
they
weird.
doing?
That is weird.
To make that a common theme. Like of all the things you could make, like okay, I'm gonna paint this, I'm gonna write this manuscript, and I want to make our knights be the most badass, hardest knights in the land.
And
What could I make
snail.
them? What could I make them fight that would make everybody
what
fear
are you doing?
them?
A snail.
Like, how about a
Obviously.
giant snail?
Obviously.
It's got armor. That's it. Period.
They're really slow.
They're really slow.
They're really slow.
Our knights are going to be have the deficit on speed advantage. So, but I saw that it pops up every once in a while, and I look into it. I'm like, what? Why? So many tiny
That's
things you
awesome.
can make. You can make giant that would be way worse, like giant wasps.
Anything.
That would be terrible.
Anything. A giant ant.
Giant.
That would suck.
Whatever those big beetles are, the big ass pinchers, Goliath beetles, or whatever the hell they are. That would be awful. Yeah. If I was a knight, I would not fight one.
No.
I'd say, nah, fam, I'm good.
Yeah, it's gonna cut you in half.
I just give the king my sword and I'll be like, here you go, you fight it.
I'm out. I'm exiling myself.
Yeah. Well, people in the chat just eat it.
That's literally what I was looking at right now. I was about to be like, well, Gypsy Jenny over here is going to cook that thing.
See, she ain't scared. She ain't scared.
No. Hey, whatever floats your boat. I ain't trying to eat a snail. I feel like that's like eating a big ass booger. It's got to be similar. Just nasty, chewy, slimy.
They sell them at Walmart. We were talking about it
Which one? Snails or boogers?
Not boogers. Well, they might sell boogers. I don't know.
And I'm sure there's a bunch in there somewhere.
So I always take weird shit into work, and like I just leave it there to see if the guys will eat it. Like I had pumpkin spice ramen noodles I took in there, and somebody tried it. And then I found macaroni and cheese flavored ice cream, and I took it in there, and someone tried it. So I was gonna get a can of snails and take it in there and see who would eat it, but
somebody would eat it.
I have never eaten a snail, been around cooked snails, anything like that. I have an innate fear that when I open a can of snails, whatever that smell is, I don't want to smell it. I don't even know if snails smell like anything.
So it's just the anticipation of opening it. You don't even know what it smells like.
Can of snails, yes.
I fuck with that.
I don't want to be a part of that.
I feel like it's probably pretty gross.
I'll hunt ghosts. I'll hunt Bigfoot. I'll run through the forest at night whistling at Wendigos. I am terrified of opening a can of snails.
I didn't even know that was a thing. I didn't even know you could eat them.
Oh yeah, I had to look it up on the Walmart app.
That's gross.
I'm like, because everybody was talking to me in game at work, like, oh yeah, I eat snails. So I'm like, all right, let's go.
Bet.
Put your snails where your mouth is.
Gross. Absolutely disgusting.
I'm like, do you Oh, Dylan calling me out. I did eat a June bug one time to prove a point at a graduation party.
That's disgusting.
It was awful. It did have barbecue sauce on it though, so kind of made up for it.
No, it didn't. Don't lie.
It was
It
not good.
100% did not.
It was a texture thing. It's a texture thing. There, you got wings and they're crunchy. And it wasn't a good time.
I can imagine.
I did a lot of dumb shit.
I don't feel like eating any bugs is a smart thing.
I did a lot of dumb shit when I was young. So
I think that's the story of everybody's
don't hold
life.
past Hollow Steve to present Hollow Steve, okay? Let's just
Oh wow, Gypsy has eaten snails. That's interesting.
Cook's snails smell like nothing. I used to work at a restaurant. Huh. Well, that alleviates my fear a little bit. I always wanted to go on that show with Andrew Zimmern, that Bizarre Foods. He always did a Halloween episode where he picked like 15 people and he would cook for them. And he'd like make tarantula and guinea pig and all this stuff.
That's gross.
I would try stuff. I would probably try a snail just once. As long as I could plug my nose.
I'm good. I will stick with cooking my steak. That's where I'm at.
If there was a giant snail, you could make a snail. You could probably cut a steak out of the giant snail. Maybe that's why the knights were hunting them.
No, well,
fighting them to feed the kingdom.
People in the chat here are saying that Psalm 58, I can't even say it right now. The fact that you're going to die is represented by the knight fighting the snail.
Oh. Snails are a rep.
It's inevitable.
Of death. Interesting.
It is interesting. I still don't buy it because I'm sorry.
Of death.
A snail is not scary. It's just not.
Why would a snail be the representation of death?
It should be the representation of stupidity.
The representation of fear of opening a can of snails as to what they're going to smell like.
Or that. Yeah, snails are weird. I'm not in that camp. What do you think? You think dragons are real at one point?
Oh, I don't know, man. I mean,
am I putting you on the spot?
No. I legitimately don't know. Like,
I feel like they are.
Dinosaurs are fucking real.
Right.
What is a dinosaur? Essentially a dragon.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. It could have just been, but then again, if you believe the depictions of it, it would totally have flames coming out of that. That's what sets it apart. The fact that it could breathe fire.
Maybe dinosaurs breathe fire.
They could have. It's hard to tell.
Maybe that's how cavemen discovered fire.
True.
They just tamed dinosaurs that breathed fire.
Yeah. I mean, I've
solved history.
Oh, that's the terrifying. A gigantic praying mantis. Ugh. Gross.
Oh yeah, makes you think about the mantis extraterrestrials.
No, those would scare the living shit out of me.
Yeah.
If I saw a giant praying mantis walking through my house, I would freak out.
Yeah. What if Egress is a giant praying mantis? Maybe it's 3 entities: giant praying mantis, giant snail, government agency.
I got dibs on the snail.
They're all working in cahoots.
I got dibs on the snail. You got to pick one of the other two.
Who says all dragons had to breathe fire? Had fire breath? I don't know. I wasn't there.
Just a lot of it is in the drawings, but maybe I'm sure there are some without the fire, but I don't know.
Who says the giant snails don't breathe fire? Checkmate.
Now we're changing the game. That's what we do.
That's why the knights killed off all the dragons, and they're like, what's the next most lethal thing on the planet? Giant fire-breathing snails.
Okay. I mean, once again, we have solved it. This is literally all we are good at, is solving.
We chalked up another one.
Ancient mysteries.
We have revised history.
I'm in.
We have revised history.
I like the idea of dragons, though. I think it's cool.
I like the idea of just weird shit, period.
Yeah, I mean, and then dragons, they're not that far off of Thunderbirds. You know what I mean? In
Man,
size.
the chat is going wild. Holocult's on it today. Komodo dragons exist. Burton hit it up. That's true. I don't know if I can click on these. I'm gonna do a test here.
Yeah, try it. See if it'll pop up. You should be able to.
I cannot.
That's weird.
Solid. But that is
Probably because you didn't accept the request that I sent you. Because on my end, it still says pending.
What
I made you an administrator so you could, and it was supposed to go to your email. Maybe it went into your junk mail.
Could have. I don't know how to do stuff.
I did that, and you're supposed to be able to do all that stuff.
I was just gonna say that Zipless in the chat says, wasn't there some photos that came out recently of a dragon from China? I saw some videos, actually, and I mean, videos are so people can do anything with video editing software now, but it was pretty cool. So I'm not sure. That's the worst part about paranormal phenomena. The further into the future we go, the more that evidence gets like washed out by people faking shit.
Right. Yeah.
And the less like you could have a legitimate the most clear, everybody's like Bigfoot's, oh, they're just blurry pictures, blah 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 blah. You could have a legitimate, clear, perfect photograph of Bigfoot, and the very first reaction you get is it's fake. It's fake because it's too good.
Yeah.
People hate evidence that's not good enough. They hate evidence that's too good.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. But that's why, like with you and me, we don't give a shit about what anybody says about it. If we saw it, then we saw it. That's all that matters in the end. I don't care if you believe me or not.
I think that's why I keep such an open mind about all of our listener experiences, because I wasn't there.
Yeah, you have to.
I have no opinion on it because I was not there. I did not see what they saw. I did not hear what they heard. I did not feel what they felt. I'm just a vessel. I'm just a mouthpiece to put it out there.
Right. No, I 100% agree. I have no reason to doubt anyone that submits a story. I have no, and to be fair, I may ask you questions to poke holes in your story, and it's not to poke holes in your story. It's to better understand what you went through. It's to better understand, because I am a very like mental visual person where I listen to a lot of times, like when you and me are together and we play an audio or you read a personal story, they get submitted. I sit there with my eyes closed. So that way I know that I'm paying attention. I don't get distracted by anything. And then I build the image in my head. That's just what I do, you know? So I just like to know, you know?
And curiosity breeds questions, and
exactly.
I mean, people should ask questions about everything, honestly.
Yeah.
Oh man. This chat is just flowing.
Yeah.
It's dope. Hollow fam, you are on it tonight. I'm digging it.
I'm not sure how many people are watching on Facebook, but if you're watching and you are trying to leave a comment and you can't, you have to approve StreamYard to do whatever it needs to do. Just throwing that out there. But it seems like the majority of people are on YouTube anyway. So
how do we tip? We don't actually have tip set up yet, since we're just kind of winging this.
Yeah, give us like I've been working my ass off trying to get everything straight. I figure a month tops and we'll be ready for all that stuff.
Yeah, we should have like, we're not good at doing stuff. Like we just like doing this stuff. As far as like setting up other stuff, we're kind of behind the times.
Yeah.
So we're getting there though. So bear with us. We do appreciate the sentiment of you wanting to tip us.
Right.
So that being said, thank you
I do.
for the idea of a tip.
I like this.
Fossilized. Oh, I've started doing a working on an episode that's going to turn into a series of episodes. So I was going to do one on like I talked about last week, the weird footprints, the out of history context footprints and dinosaur tracks and that shit. So I'm just going to do a whole alternative history series that I'm working on. I don't know how many shows it's going to be. It depends on how far into it I go. But since Graham Hancock has got everybody up in the air about his alternative history, I'm like, you know what? Let's just keep stirring the pot a little bit. So I started looking into like out of place artifacts and stuff, things that are found that aren't supposed to be found where they're found, like
Right,
as
right.
far as the timeline goes. I started writing that, and I'm just going to compile a whole bunch of stuff together. I've got a bunch of books that talk about all sorts of weird stuff that are found. The Koso artifact, the London hammer, all that shit.
That's
I know
awesome.
a lot of them have tried to be debunked, but we'll talk about that too. Just put the information out there. I've got some weird ones in some of my old like Reader's Digest books. Like there's some weird shit that's found.
That's
Like
awesome.
there's one, if I can find it, I remember reading it years ago. That these coal miners were digging in this coal mine, and they break in. They I don't know if they were using explosives or what they were doing, but they broke into this little cavity, right, way down in the earth, way down in the earth. And as they're clearing this cavity away, they start to find this essentially a tiny workshop. They find a little
What?
table, little tools, little hammers,
That's
all this
awesome.
miniature shit that's inside this coal mine. So
That is
hopefully I can find
awesome.
that and put it out with these episodes because I read
I
that and I'm like,
love it.
what? What?
I love
What?
it. Absolutely love it.
Oh, they said like miniature. They gave if I remember right, I think they gave the dimensions, but well smaller than a human would use. Um, yeah. My mom got Reader's Digest. I remember that story. I have their like they released a bunch of books, like big, thick hardback books about mysteries and stuff. And every time I see one, I pick them up. So I've got like 6 of these, and they're all different. Like this one's Into the Unknown, and the other one's Unexplained Mysteries of the World, and all this other shit. So
That's awesome.
I'm gonna start digging into those and putting those out. So that should be a banger. And
Oh
it
yeah.
because like I said, Graham Hancock has everybody in the world up in the air about history with his Netflix documentary.
I don't know why people are getting so butthurt about it.
You know how it is.
Yeah. That dude that was on Rogan with the Alaskan Boneyard, he's found a bunch of bones up there that are said to never exist to be up there. He's found dire wolves, mammoths, all types of stuff, badgers, you name it. He's found it up there.
Yeah, and I've got other I got a whole bunch of accounts of like the Kensington runestone, this huge rock tablet they found that has essentially Nordic runes on it. They found I think in Minnesota or some shit
I'm
that
going because I want
that
one.
essentially shouldn't be there. I've got there's I'm trying to find more information on it, but there was a wall found in Ohio with hieroglyphics carved into it, but the information that I found from it, nobody really gave a shit when they dug it up. They're like,
How? How do you not find that awesome? People are so
it's
weird.
it is weird. Like,
People are so weird.
but then that led to the other wall in Tennessee that had the 4,000-year-old. There's a 900-foot wall they found buried under the earth that essentially had some variation of man. I can't even remember the language. I talked about it last show. That was like 4,000 years old.
That's
That
crazy.
it shouldn't have been there.
Yeah, well, that in itself should 100% suggest that what we know about the past is irrelevant. And I think that anybody in their right mind would 100% be okay with all the leading scientists coming out and being like, hey, this is what we know as of right now as far as our past is concerned, right? Everything is subject to change. But for some reason, these people, and maybe it's typical dude shit, like the whole like belt buckle bragging right type of thing. Like, I'm the one that found this, so my narrative's the right narrative or some, you know what I mean? Like,
Well, when it comes to history, they don't want to revise it. Everybody's been taught the same shit for so
right,
long.
right.
You start rewriting one lineage of history, and you're gonna have to rewrite them all.
Yeah, that's
Nobody wants
true.
to be responsible for firing that first shot.
Well, that's
Because you
just
start rewriting
dumb.
history, you're gonna have to rewrite religion. You're gonna have to rewrite probably science because the timeline's all thrown off. It's gonna be an avalanche effect of everything that we thought we knew. We don't know.
I'm
So
okay with that.
people are they like to be satiated and safe. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? They don't
Yeah.
want to have to start over
Well, that, and
as
then
far.
some entities have a vested interest in controlling that narrative as well to keep,
Oh yeah.
one of their lineages there in where it needs to be, so to speak.
Yeah. Only like Holocult knows only the winners write the history.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
That
That's
is
facts.
true.
There's just not any getting around it.
They like I'm writing the first article on the Koso artifact, which essentially you'll hear it in the episode, but I'll talk about it now a little bit since we're just going off here. These geode hunters were in California and they were out essentially. They owned a little rock shop and they go out, find geodes, cut them, polish them, sell them. So they're out geode hunting, collect their geodes, come back home. They're cutting them up the next day. They cut it into what they think is just a regular geode. And the dude who owns the shop put a brand new diamond saw, which just chomps through those hard ass rocks.
Yeah. Yeah.
Almost burn it up trying to cut through this thing. He finally gets
Wow.
through it and he looks inside and there's a perfect he says it looks like porcelain cylinder inside of this rock. And inside the porcelain cylinder it looks like glass. It's clear. And inside this clear glass is a copper tube. And the outer casing outside of this porcelain cylinder is covered in fossilized rock. It's got fossilized shells in it. It's got shell parts in it.
That's
So
weird.
essentially, it's old as shit,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
To be in there to get a
For
fossilized
sure.
rock around it.
Right.
And they have it x-rayed and there's other weird parts in it. Also encrusted in this fossilized outer core is something that looks like a nail and something that looks like a washer. So, they're assuming that at least the outer crust of this thing is at least 500,000 years old. So hella old.
Okay.
They get it x-rayed. As they're looking at it, there is a copper coil in it too. They're assuming it's copper. They're thinking it's the same thing as what ran through the middle of this tube. So they have it x-rayed and stuff. Anyway, the academics start hearing about it. They start making a spiel. I think this was in the 60s. I don't remember exactly. It starts kind of picking up in the magazines and in the paranormal world where the academics get it. And they write it off as it's just a spark plug it's a 1920s champion spark plug from a Ford car that just happened to
Oh,
get itself encrusted in all this rock. And
that is how that works.
that's
how
the
that
final
works.
answer that they put out. Nothing more, nothing less.
I love how they
Just a spark
branded
plug.
it too. I love how they branded it. They're like, it's a champion spark plug because only that would survive.
Yeah, I'm just like, how, like what?
I don't
Why would
know.
why is that?
I don't know. It's amazing the things that we're all willing to believe.
Yeah,
So it's fucking great.
I want to find it. I want to find it because as of the last research that I did, I think the article that I was pulling up is from probably 10 years ago. They don't know where it's at. Of the three people that
of course.
Of the three people that went out and worked and owned that rock shop, I think only one of them's left alive. And he got so ridiculed that he stopped doing public interviews, stopped having anything to do with it, and they don't know where that specific. There's pictures of it all over the place. I can post pictures up on the socials. I probably will when I release the episode. But he just said, nobody's. If this is the narrative you want to write, that it's a spark plug, then why are we talking about it still?
Yeah, I agree. That makes no sense.
It was, and the more you look into it, like, there's all sorts of weird stuff. I saw somebody in the chat talk about the Baghdad battery. That's another one that is essentially shows a timeline and a sense of industrialism that should not be in the history that we were taught. For some reason, academia now looks at people thousands of years ago as just being like, oh, banging rocks together and fire is bad and all this weird shit. Like they didn't have the ability to be so technologically advanced.
Right.
So I don't know.
I don't either.
It's a weird road to go down.
Yeah, and I mean, to be fair, one of the mega disasters, without question, could have reset humanity. I mean, it wouldn't take much.
Oh yeah,
to reset humanity.
Ember Fox just posted a little cutout discovered on February 13, 1961 by Wallace Lane, Virginia Maxey, and Mike Micasell while they were prospecting for geodes near Olancha, California. Long claimed as an example of an out-of-place artifact, the artifact has been identified as a 1920 era's champion spark plug that just happened to get encased in fossilized rock and shells that are
That's
over
so crazy.
500,000 years old.
That is so crazy.
Let's say it is a champion spark plug. Did someone from the future go back 500,000 years ago and drop that sumbitch in the mud?
I mean, that's kind of a fair statement. I mean, I can't argue that.
Well, I mean, if we want to go down that road, if we want to follow that narrative, all right, cool. It is a champion spark plug. How to get there?
I love it. We just went from spark plugs to time travel.
How to get there? You got to have a spark plug to run the flux capacitor.
I'm not arguing that. I like it. I think it's fucking sweet.
It's science, hollow science.
That's
somebody pointed out on Twitter
statement.
that in the last episode we went from Ric Flair to solar flare in the same breath, and no one even noticed it.
That's awesome. That is awesome. We are so good at our job, and we don't even get paid. We do it for free.
To do this. We
do it for free.
Born and bred to do this.
It's so awesome. So freaking awesome.
Fell out of Doc Brown's pocket. That's what I'm saying.
It's freaking
But
great.
the fact that they just write that shit off, they're like, nah, it's fine. It's a spark plug.
Yeah, that seems to be the typical narrative these days.
Yeah, I just wish I could talk to the person that says that. Okay, it is a spark plug. How did it get encased in that rock?
I don't feel like many people understand, because I truly don't understand the process as to what it takes for a rock to encompass an object like that. You know what I mean? Like that, the longevity of that, because like I know trees will do that. Like they'll eat fences and stuff like that. And that takes years, because of just the rate at which it grows. But it's even harder for my mind to wrap around how a rock encompasses something.
Yeah, I know. It has to start. I think it has to start out as mud, and then it will encase whatever the artifact is or whatever the print is, and then more stuff will fall on top of it and just kind of protect it to where it just sits for thousands and thousands and
Hmm.
thousands of
So it's
in
kind of
theory. This is what they put forth, you know,
right.
how we're supposed to think fossilization works. And then it sits there, and over time, more and more stuff gets compacted on it. More and more stuff gets compacted on it.
So
And in
kind of more or less like a
500,000
diamond.
years, yeah,
Like how
500,000 years, you have this encased spark plug, or you have a dinosaur fossil, or whatever the hell you're looking for, you know?
Right. Got it. Yeah. That makes sense. I like it.
Oh man, we've almost been talking for an hour.
I know.
You threw me for a loop on the Egress stuff.
I knew I
I was
would.
not expecting that. Now it's got my wheels turning.
I wasn't expecting it, to be honest with you. It is what it is.
Man, now we got all these avenues we got to go down.
I know.
We got to check in on our sources. See what. Ugh. It better lead somewhere, is all I gotta say.
I hope so. I hope it does.
Oh no, man.
What do you say? You want to try to take a call or two, see if anybody's feeling frisky?
Oh. Yeah, let's give it in just a second. Hammy Dog says update on Egress. Oh, you're gonna have to go back to the beginning of the show, dog. Kyle's dropping bombs over here that I didn't even know about. Is this live? Oh, it is live. New England Dirt Roadie, what's up?
Yes, it is
live. We're here kicking it.
Trying to do what we do best.
And there are a lot of people
going on, Dave.
It's cool to watch this. Like we keep track of how many people come in and hang out with us every week. So it went from like 40 to 45 to 50, and now we're consistently having with like 60s in here. So each week we're constantly stacking up.
Yeah, it seems like 10 more people join in.
It's pretty dope.
It's awesome. I like it a lot. I have a lot of fun with it. I always look forward to it.
So what do you want, Hollow Colt? You want to get some weird calls in here, or what? Do you want to listen to me and Kyle just pop off? You guys hear us talk all the time. Somebody did say that you have the perfect voice for radio.
Who?
I don't know. It was in the chat. Yeah, way early.
Oh,
see that's how we work. Kyle has the perfect voice for radio. I have the perfect face for radio.
There you go.
It is a
win-win.
Unbeatable duo.
It's a win-win.
All right.
Like,
well,
what would that be? It's like the forming of Ultron.
Somebody was talking about the Autobots. Maybe the spark plug fell out of the Autobots. It could.
I saw that.
I think it's true. All right, man. I say we open the phone lines.
We'll see what happens.
This is all about. We'll see what kind of weirdness y'all are bringing us.
Yeah.
I want some weird shit. No pressure.
Hopefully. Yeah, hopefully.
Maybe Egress will call, and then I can call them chodes.
If anybody decides to call. It's not always a guarantee, but you never know. I will turn it up just a hair enough to hear it in case somebody does call, because I don't like staring at it 24/7.
Do you guys have any creepy whisper sound effects? When you talked about Egress, did you play it?
Are you talking about that rapper that goes? Have you seen that video? Please tell me you've seen that video. Do you know how awesome it was?
I have.
You know how awesome it was whenever I saw somebody mix that over top of somebody blowing into an N64 cartridge. So good. So good.
Whatever CERN did in 2012.
So good.
Take me out of this timeline.
So please. Good. Oh, I died laughing.
The phone number is scrolling across the bottom of the screen there.
Yeah, it's live. It's ready to rock.
But we did not have whisper sound effects going on in the Egress episodes.
No. I mean, there are things that pop in and out that we could probably explain if we heard it, because we're not exactly the most audio friendly.
Yeah, that was 2 years ago too. We had a whole different setup back then. We were just we're still a small fish poking the Alphabet Boys.
Yeah, and
Which, I mean, we still are, but
kind of, yeah. Yeah, like I said, it's not perfect audio. We are, we're a tree trimmer and a coal worker. It is what it is.
shovel ops.
Yeah, I want to have as good of audio as I can figure out, but I've got to figure that out when I can, and that takes a little bit of
I think
time.
we're pretty top tier, but I'm kind of partial myself. So.
Yeah. I am the nothing is ever good enough. I always keep going.
Oh man, said I heard them as well. It was like someone had an open mic and didn't know it. I wonder
That's
which
weird.
episode. Which episode are you guys talking about? Was it when we did the interview with the podcaster that shall not be named? Was it when we called the actual numbers very, very first, or when we went on Tony? When we went on Sam? Who else did we go on? Avery's podcast. We talked about
Avery,
it.
yeah, yep.
Huh. Makes me. There was so much weird shit going on when we were in the middle of Egress.
It was overwhelming.
We were so pulled in so many different directions. Like we've said it before. I told Kyle, I'm like, as of right now, the only person that I can 100% trust about anything is you, because
Yeah,
there were so many irons in the fire, so many people coming at us in so many different ways about so many different things that we didn't know what to expect. We didn't know.
No, we didn't even know how to
'Cause
handle it at the time.
no,
We were
we didn't.
noobs.
We had misinformant agents in our own private lives
Yes.
using themselves to throw wrenches in whatever Egress was.
Yeah, which just sucked because it muddied the water so much.
Which is crazy.
Yeah, it's dumb.
Like
It's what it is.
Did somebody put them up to it?
I don't know. I my gut says no, but I can't prove that or disprove it.
Because I mean, they could have came at us with anything.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
We just turned into the experiment.
The fact that I don't know.
It's
We had
weird, man.
And then T came out of nowhere, feeding us information.
Yeah.
We still don't know who the hell that is.
No. And Twisted, we that was wrong one. That was one of the very first things Steve suggested to me.
That was my go-to.
Yeah. Like, because when it all happened, I got really worked up about it. And I didn't air the show when it was supposed to air because I was kind of worked up. And then that night, I made Steve call me, and we sat there. Or I was even at work too, and we were talking. And I'm like, we have to run through this piece by piece because I have to dissect it. I have to run logic against it. I have to run every avenue that we can run. And Steve's like Steve was doubling down on the ARG thing, and then it started to make sense to me. And I'm like, oh, okay, all right. I'm starting to see this picture, and we started building off that. And then we ended up more or less having to abandon that theory. Not that it's still not a possibility, because it very well could be, but it just doesn't logically. It doesn't make sense because it ended up not going anywhere.
No, they had the best form to get their game out there when we went on the two of the biggest paranormal shows on the scene, Tony's and Sam's, to talk about it, and then they being Egress pulled the plug on it. They had the best free promotion they possibly could have had. And it went nowhere. There were no clues, there were no games, there was no nothing. Just that put out, and they wanted to hear any like anomalies that anyone found. They didn't give any other clues. They didn't.
Right.
We had a Twitter account pop up that was messaging us, and then an absolutely unconnected big YouTuber were the only two accounts that they interacted with. They even specifically used the term Egress when they were commenting.
And
which
then there was a Redditor too that left some eerie ass comment
yeah. Oh
as
man,
well.
there is so much that we dug through that we did not put out there
Yeah.
because once it started getting weird, like essentially after Shauna had the SUV incident
Yeah. Yeah.
and we started tying things to Washington DC, we
Yeah.
pretty much went silent and kept all our cards to our chest because
Yeah. We had
we're like,
to.
there's already people trying to screw with the narrative. So we have to keep this to ourselves where only we know what's been put forth. That way we can
Right.
slowly try to weed out who's being lame.
Right. No, that is exactly how it went. And you can't, because if we kept putting pieces out there, that gives more people pieces to pick up and run with and confuse us more, where
Yeah.
we're chasing our tail at that point.
Burton, if someone from Egress got a hold of you, would you set up a meeting? Would you go instantly? I would have went then. If they gave me an address, I would have went. I was 100% committed to figuring out what the hell it was.
Well, I can't let him go by himself, so
Kyle's guilty by association.
by proxy.
I gotta have a getaway driver.
Yeah,
I gotta
it's
have
gonna
somebody
be,
film. I've got to have somebody filming it so we can put it out to you guys.
it's gonna be, I don't know, not going there. But yeah, it would
What if they
be,
were
be interesting.
remote viewing you guys?
We've ran through that theory as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's like we literally went as hard as our brains could go. Like there would be days we'd have conversations, and after that conversation, I would just be so mentally exhausted, just trying to just use my brain in a capacity that it's not supposed to be running.
AI guys in here. You got boys on the roof across the street.
Yeah, that's basically what I was getting. Like it would be an interesting meetup. It would be interesting.
Hammy says, I think it's one of those things where they want people to come across it Egress organically, but they don't want it on billboards for the whole world to see. Then it kind of blows their cover in a way. I thought about that too, but essentially the only point of origin that we found from Egress was one single flyer in one single cul-de-sac. If you're going to do an ARG, why would you start it like that?
Right.
To where, I mean, essentially, unless it ties all the way back to the first person who found it to post it and then try to get it to take off that way, it could have been. But it was so far set up because it was interacting with so many people differently. Like there was other podcasters that were interacting with it too. And the way it was set up to respond to us, and it was so weird.
Yeah, the whole thing's weird. And it's like you said, it is our white whale. It's something that I don't think we'll ever stop chasing.
I'm curious about all this new information.
Yeah, I think at first you're probably going to be super skeptical because it's what you do. You're always forever more skeptical than me.
The first thing I'm going to do, yeah, you go head first into stuff. I'm like, Kyle, whoa, pull back.
That's what I do.
I'm like, how well do we know the source here?
Right. No, and it's all fair. It's all fair.
You start with the source and see how far you want to chase it.
Yeah. But at the same time, I have no reason not to believe these people in my eyes, until the path is followed, and then we start finding reasons to either believe them or just start to discredit the information that's been given. We've done our due diligence before and figured out stuff. So,
didn't one of the Egress phone numbers come from Tennessee? Yes, the Egress number, the area code was for a Tennessee number. the flyer was found in Texas, and it had a Tennessee number. There were it gets confused the way that we came about it, so it gets linked to these other dream flyers, like Colleen said, the one in Portland, but that's not connected to Egress. When I called them out on it, I specifically asked them via communication, "Are you tied to these other dream flyers?" And they said, "No, we have nothing to do with those." So that's where the only reason we bring that up is that's how we found. I was doing an episode on the weird flyers, and Egress just happened to be another weird flyer that I stumbled across. So they get kind of tied together. Egress, the only Egress flyer that was ever found was the one found in Austin, I believe. And then when we had the interaction with the podcaster that shall not be named, it brought in all the Aleister Crowley shit. Like
Yeah.
that was a whole nother level, which was brought to our attention that Crowley has deep ties to Austin,
Yeah.
where the flyer was posted. Because at first we're like, what the hell is any of this Crowley shit have to do with anything? This is stupid, blah blah blah. Then as we're circling back around here, sometime last year, we're like, holy shit, Austin is
It was when we was
all
talking
about
to it's when we were talking
Shane.
to Mark
Oh, Mark, yeah.
from My Family Thinks I'm Crazy.
Yeah.
Yep. He brought it up about how there's big occult ties down that way. So very interesting. The occult is very interesting.
Dave, did you reverse look up? That was the first thing I did. I got on Spokio and on ran everything. The only thing that we knew that we found out was that it was a Google VoIP number.
Yeah.
And that was it. And from there, outside of probably getting a subpoena, I don't think you can track a Google Voice number to a specific user because they're constantly recycled, which is what has happened now. After we went on Tripoli's show, the number got recycled, and it is
It stopped.
somebody else's number now,
which is crazy. Absolutely crazy, because that voicemail changed several times over the years, and then we go on Tripoli, and right after that, it stops, dead in the water.
Yeah. Did you hear that? Sounded like Steve's name was just called out. Called out from where?
I didn't hear nothing.
I didn't either.
No, but I will end up listening. I'll make a mental note. Hour and 6 minutes. I'll write it down.
Burton, where in Texas was it found? I think it was found in Austin. I'll have to go back and get all my information. Like, I've just kind of set it aside for a while. After that,
You want to take a phone call?
Yeah, do it to it, Lars.
Hello.
Hey, is this Kyle?
Yes, it is. What's going on?
How's it going? This is Jeremy
calling
up? From Santan, Arizona.
What's up, buddy?
Oh, sick. What's
Not
up?
a whole lot. Hello, Hollow Colts. Sorry, I'm a little nervous here.
No, you're fine.
We're all just one big weird family here.
That's right.
That's for sure. Well, I got a bunch of stories I'd love to tell.
Yeah.
Some about sleep paralysis, some about ghosts, some about orbs. So
right on, man. Let's talk weird.
Okay, well, I guess I'll start with sleep paralysis. I know that's kind of a popular subject, but I feel like everybody kind of has their own perspectives. When I first moved to Arizona, I was in about the 3rd grade. And during that move, I had got super sick. And the doctors couldn't figure out what was wrong with me when I had gotten here. And they had done multiple tests and spinal taps. And eventually, my mom ended up coming in a week later. And she was like, "Did anybody check for strep?" Doctor didn't eventually check for strep, and sure enough, that's what it was. But oddly, while I was sick, that's when I had first experienced sleep paralysis. And all I can remember from my first experience was that it was almost as if I was laying underneath a super heavy waterfall, and I was helpless. It was super loud. It was super heavy. And I just wanted to yell and cry, being a kid, hearing your dad walk around and not being able to call him or speak his name. It's a little frightening. And so that slowly continued on. And I realized that my siblings were having similar experiences. But there's a couple years after that, there's one instance in particular that sticks out to me. I was laying in bed, and it was probably around 11:30, close to midnight. And at this point, I had come accustomed to knowing that I'm about to fall into sleep paralysis. For me, I don't wake up into it like some people do. I kind of fall asleep into it. So I can feel my body start to relax, and I can feel this weight on my chest. And it's almost as if there's a bus laying on top of me. And no matter how much you can try to fight it, if you're just a second too late, it's almost as if you're just trapped. Now I'm sitting here, I'm laying on my back, and I'm staring at my closet, and my closet door is open. And I see this shadowy figure crawl, not from the floor, but crawling from the top of the doorway onto the wall. I watched it crawl down, disappear. Next thing you know, it's in my sheets, and I just felt it consume me. I immediately woke up and I was just in a panic. I mean, trying to recall how I felt. It's seeing something like that. It's a little surreal.
Yes,
No.
I would say so, man. My sleep paralysis, as I've mentioned on the show, I have never seen an entity uh outside of that one weird dream that I had here recently, but when I get it, it's I can't move, and it's just an innate fear. Like I am
Yep.
absolutely terrified of what's gonna happen.
Yeah. No, that's the only instance I've ever seen an entity. But the more it's happened, the more I've kind of realized that if the quicker I calm myself and try to breathe through it, that the quicker it dissipates. Now, since kind of realizing that, it's really been a couple of years since I've had sleep paralysis. Now, it'll happen every once in a while, but not nearly as consistent as what it used to be, which I find kind of interesting. Kind of losing that fear, but
Yeah, almost like now that you've kind of harnessed the ability to get yourself out of it, that it's like it's not quite as interested in you as it was before.
yeah, and I kind of got to that thought process by listening to you guys, actually. And I've been wanting to call, and this is my first time catching you guys on a live chat, and so I just kind of forced myself to press that button and call.
Awesome. We're
Was
glad you did.
appreciated. And they do say and this could be controversial, but they do say that with sleep paralysis, for some people, there's a theory that is the beginning of being able to astral project.
Astral project.
Yeah.
Yes. Yep.
Oh.
And I feel like I have done it subconsciously, but I haven't done it consciously yet. I've tried a couple times, but I kind of fear I'm not ready for that yet.
Oh, I'm with you 100%. 100%.
So I'm just kind of letting that happen as it may. if I find myself floating above my bed, well, shit, you know.
You're
It
there,
is
you might as well just
strange
fall
that
off.
it's strange that your siblings are experiencing it too at a similar
Yeah.
time. I haven't.
Yeah.
I don't know that I've heard of like group, essentially group sleep paralysis. That's weird.
Yeah, that is weird.
Now, I was the one that kind of seemed to get it most frequently. I mean, this will happen at school. It will happen like falling asleep on a road trip. It literally anywhere you can lean your head to rest. I've like I found myself in sleep paralysis, and you're sitting there scared, and you don't want anybody to wake you up because you don't know what will happen to you. You know, you don't know if your body's gonna freak out or what, but anyway, that's pretty much my sleep paralysis take.
That
It's
is strange.
the entity, like when you said you felt it consume you, that was gross.
I
That was
not
gross.
necessarily consume me. I felt it. I almost felt it crawl in my mouth,
That's gross.
That's even worse.
Yeah,
which is even worse.
It's gross.
That is even worse.
That's terrifying. I couldn't imagine experiencing that, especially if it was like one of them ultra vivid things, because I've never had it, so I don't know what it's like. But if it's ultra vivid and then it's one of them where you come to, whether it's you wake up or whatever you want to call it, and you're convinced in your mind like this legitimately happened. That's absolutely terrible.
And you wake up in the morning and you're trying to convince yourself like, no, that's just a dream. But
Right.
who the hell knows?
That is crazy, dude.
I've got to the
Absolutely crazy.
points where I can kind of wake myself up once it happens. It hasn't happened in a while, but I'll once I know like, oh shit, it's happening again, then I can start consciously being like, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, and eventually it'll get to the point where I'll wake myself up. Like my
Do
adrenaline
you
will be
ever
just
feel like if you
flying.
miss that certain time mark that you're stuck, or is it just something that
I don't know. When I get in there, I'm just trying. Like that's the only thing I can focus on is wake up, because I feel like essentially something's in my house and it's trying to get to me. I never see it. I never hear it. There's just this innate fear that something is in here and something wants to hurt me. So once I'm conscious of the fact that I am in sleep paralysis, my sole focus is to wake myself up. And that's it. I'm just like, I gotta get out of here. It's like a fight or flight kind of thing, and I'm not trying to fight whatever's in my house in my dream.
Definitely.
I'm outie 5,000.
But it's something else that popped in my head. I remember waking up to somebody sneezing in my ear. Waking up and but it was like 2:00 in the morning.
Does it happen pretty frequently?
That was the only instance.
Only time
with that one.
Interesting.
But okay, this is a pretty interesting story. I don't want to take too much time, so I'll try to make this one a little quick.
Right on.
But it's probably like 11 o'clock at night. I'm in high school. It's a school night, and my whole family's asleep except me and my older brother. And I'm laying in bed, and I hear 3 loud consecutive knocks come from the bathroom. And I go outside, and I meet my brother out there, and we're like, what the hell was that sound? And we kind of just pass it off like, oh, it was probably our brother rolling over and hitting the wall in his sleep. I'm like, all right, whatever, good nights. And so later on the next night, it's 11:30, close to 12 p.m. We hear the same thing, 3 consecutive knocks, this time almost louder. And my dad was awake this time. And so me, my brother, and my dad come out. And now me and my brother are like, okay, this is a little weird. My dad just kind of passes it off. And we just go back to bed. And the next night, nothing happens. But the following night, we hear 3 consecutive knocks again. And so I'm a little freaked out at this point. I was the only one who had heard the last 3 knocks. And I had mentioned this to my brother, but he was sound asleep at the time. And so the following week, I used to work at Tractor Supply, and so I had got off around 9 p.m. after school, and I'm getting home, and it's just my brother there. And he's like, holy shit, dude, like something's in the house. I'm like, what the fuck? What do you mean? He's like, dude, something was literally running up the stairs. I shit you not. It's just me and Brody here. And it happened like 2 or 3 times. This may not be 100% accurate. This is his story. This is just my reverberation of what he told me. But after he had heard the steps, he was just trying to stay calm and play with my dog. And so he's throwing the toys around, and he throws the ball, and it rolls into the other room. So my dog runs and comes to like a halt. We have a tile floor, so he kind of slides, but he stops and he looks, and he stares at something in the room. And he says about 5 or 6 seconds go by, and he sees the ball slowly roll back to my dog, who then slowly picks it up and then turns away back to my brother. So he tells me that, and I'm like, holy fuck, dude, we got to get out of here.
That's weird.
Were there ever any other like strange occurrences in the house? Or was that just kind of a...
No, but I'm pretty sure there is a conclusion to it. And I'm still trying to figure out if it was real or not. So we talked to our mom about this, and she just kind of laughs at us, and we're like, what the hell? And she's like, oh my gosh, it actually happened. And we're like, what do you mean? And so apparently the week before that, she had went on a date with a couple of her girlfriends to this bar that's only known by word of mouth. And apparently this bar used to be an underground railroad. And so they got a tour you can go on and view some of the rooms they used and kind of get a glimpse of that. And what they tell you in the tour is that the place is haunted by 3 children. And apparently while this was in progress, there was like this daycare room set aside for the children. The ceiling collapsed in the room, and there was only like 2 survivors.
Oh,
And so rumor has it these 3 kids haunt the area and pick certain people to follow home and tease. So she tells us this after the fact, and we're like, well, what the fuck? Do we just have these ghosts now? But apparently she had gone back with my dad and kind of did the same tour and whatnot, and that was pretty weird.
you hear a lot, like in Waverly Hills, I believe they have on one of the floors bouncy balls that you can roll and will supposedly roll back. I used to do investigations at this haunted antique thrift shop, and the upstairs was an old abandoned apartment that is supposedly haunted by a child, and they would leave toys and balls and stuff up in the crawl space of this apartment, and when they would come back they would be moved around as well. So you do hear that often.
Yeah, It would have been nice to get a little warning from her, though.
You're right. Yeah. Unfortunately, bringing home
Yeah.
unwanted guests.
Yeah. Give me a heads up next
Exactly.
time.
Well, we appreciate you biting the bullet and calling in.
Oh shit, yeah. I mean, I can just talk all day. I got so many stories, and I talk to so many people they have so many stories, and it's just crazy that once you start getting these connections with the people and how much they start opening up to this stuff, it's cool. I'm glad I found you guys.
We're glad you found us.
Yeah, definitely.
For
Well,
sure.
I'm gonna send you guys a video. My friend's sister, she caught a couple orbs communicating to each other in a Ring camera. That might be pretty interesting to you.
Awesome.
We try to have it. Some people try to decode it and try to classify what they were. I'm not too sure on what the results came back with, but you guys might find it interesting.
Awesome.
So,
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. Send it our way for sure.
will do. Well, I appreciate you guys. Thanks for listening to my stories.
Absolutely. You have to call back sometime with the more.
Yeah, thanks for sharing them with us.
Definitely. Well, I'm excited to hear your next podcast.
Awesome, buddy.
Awesome. Stay safe and stay weird out there.
Of course. You too, guys. We'll see you.
Bye.
See ya. I looking through the chat here, and Sheila said that happened to us at the Villisca Axe murder house too. The ball would roll back and forth in the kids' room. We may
happen all
be
the
going
time.
there. We may be going there soon.
Yeah.
So we'll have to test that experiment out if we make it up that way.
That would be wild.
That would be wild, man.
I've heard a lot of people in the chat talking about seeing a white light as you're falling asleep. I see it.
That's so. Here we go. Synchronicities again. Don't tell the Newkirks we're using their term, but 2 nights ago, I was laying in bed and I was just about to fall asleep, and it flashed through my eyelids, the white bright light,
It
so
happens to me
much
all
so
the time.
that I literally opened my eyes and checked,
Oh yeah.
like to look, just like, is someone messing with me? Because
Yep.
it's bright, but it is strange that they brought it up in the chat.
Here is another very interesting one right here.
A dim blue light.
Dim blue light. Well, through our good buddy Ed, supposedly that could be a sign that you're being paid a visit by the Archangel Michael.
Oh,
Yep. Pretty interesting. It's definitely food for thought. I'm not sure where you stand on all that. And realistically, it doesn't matter. It's something to consider, I would look into it if you're interested.
And since we're on Egress so much, our friend Alexis from the Great Unsolved podcast was in touch with them when we were going heavy into Egress, and they talked to her about instances of the blue curtain.
Yeah.
Were there any instances of you seeing the blue curtain specifically in the forest? But if we're just connecting things where they can be connected.
Yeah, for sure. And no problem. Like I said, it's weird that I even remembered that about the Archangel Michael, but I was just having a conversation with Ed once and he brought that up. I don't know if it was me specifically or if it was in the Discord in general, but I do remember him saying that seeing flashes of blue light like that could be a sign of Michael, which is pretty awesome. I mean, by all accounts, that's a pretty good sign. Like, it's not bad. So
you would think that would be a positive.
Right. So, not a bad deal at all.
Oh, I see Maynard's in the chat. Hope you're doing well, my friend.
Yes.
Talking about synchronicities, that's funny because I was just about to buy this book. See if I can hold it up. Can anybody see that?
Yeah.
It's through the eyes of science, myth, and the trickster synchronicities. I thought it'd be interesting to
It's a
do a
hot title.
little episode on.
Are they
But
specific on the trickster,
I don't know.
or is it
Haven't
just
got
like
it yet.
the phrase?
I think I don't really have any information on it. I saw the
Right,
trickster
right
thing
on,
tied into the synchronicities, and I was
right
like,
on.
okay,
Yeah,
that
I was
term.
just curious as to how it played out.
Yeah, that term gets thrown around. I'm not thrown around, but we've heard it quite a bit
Yes.
here recently. Maynard's getting better. Good to hear.
Awesome.
Well, Hollow Cult, we're pushing that time again.
Yep, hour and a half.
The chat has been fire today. I know we talked a
yeah.
little bit. We talked a little bit longer than we normally do, but
Right.
we got into all that Egress stuff, and once you open those gates for me, it just goes.
Yeah, for sure.
But again, thank you all for hanging out with us.
Yeah, we
Be sure
greatly
to tune
appreciate it.
Tune in next weekend, Wednesday, 8:00. Share the show.
Yeah.
The more people we get in here, the better. The more weird calls we'll get. Make sure you go through and follow all these other content creators that are hanging out with
Yeah.
us. Local Legends with Burton, the Paranormal Trucker Podcast, the AI guys. Man, I don't know if I missed anybody. Trying to cruise through. Yeah, just
Well,
support.
thanks to everybody for. I see a lot of people saying thank you, and no, thank you for coming in and hanging out. Like, this means the world to us. And like Steve said, keep sharing this so we can make it bigger, because obviously it's like anything else. The bigger it gets, the more people are going to call in, the more comments we're going to have, and it's going to turn into its own thing, which would be amazing. Like, it's like, I feel like we're just one episode off of getting them, and I'm not in any way, shape, or form comparing, but them Art Bell calls, the fucking weird ones, the
Like
ones where everybody's
someone flying over Area 51.
yes, just crazy ones.
Hey, y'all piss excellent. See y'all later. It's from all the Monster we drink.
For sure.
We're actually cutting back on the Monster.
Yeah, we're trying to get a little bit healthy. That way we can stick
I wouldn't
around.
go that far.
I said a little bit, okay, a little bit.
We got to stick around until we can figure out what the hell Egress is, at least.
Right. Hey, there's Kenneth.
Kenneth is in here too, chilling.
Yeah.
So many of the Discord people. If you're in the chat and you're not a part of the Discord,
You need to go.
you're missing out.
Yeah.
You're missing out. It is just a little weird chunk of the internet that's just wonderful. It's just a good place to be. A lot of great minds over there, a lot of great people. Colleen's in here. Troy's in here.
Birdie.
Oh boy, yeah, Birdie's in here. I was actually listening to Paranormal Portal, and I heard our friend Birdie on there sharing a story.
That's awesome.
Making his rounds.
That's awesome. I love everybody coming in here and hanging out.
Yeah, it's dope.
It is awesome.
It grows a little bit. It grows a little bit each time.
I know, it's weird. It's really weird.
All you freaking weirdos. Hollow Cult forever.
Twiddlebug, it's not hard. Just get into Discord and people will help you through it.
Yeah, I think you have to sign up, get in there. They're kind of like, they're like unofficial moderators. Like Autumn's in there, Colleen's in there. They all Jenny's in there. They all help everybody. They'll lead you in the right way. It's basically just like a just little chat forum. I've got a whole bunch of little rooms you can pick, and like, it's not all paranormal weirdness. I got like, hey, share a picture of your pet, or share your favorite recipe, or tell us what you're doing during your day, or
Yeah, that's one of my favorite things, is the fact that, like, whenever somebody cooks something awesome and they just post it and everybody's like, damn, that looks like it hits the spot. Like,
I
this is
know.
great.
It's the worst when I'm at work and I'm like eating vending machine snacks. I call it the trash hole, eating out of the trash
Oh,
hole.
yeah. Yeah, for sure.
I'll have like a bag of Cheez-Its and somebody posts like Jenny posts fucking short ribs the other day, and I'm like,
Yeah.
get
Oh, it's
outta here,
awesome. It's awesome. So good.
man. I wish
So good.
hopefully they come up with a Discord where you can just reach in and try everybody's food.
Yeah, that would be perfect. That would be perfect.
Birdie says I was on Paranormal Portal. Yeah, he was doing an email read in, and I mean it. They said Birdie Cuda, so I just assumed it was you. Did you send an email into Paranormal Portal? Because maybe there's multiple Birdie Cudas out there.
And Madison, yes, we still have the haunted doll.
Oh yeah, she's in the background.
Yeah.
She's up on the shelf up there.
Yeah, she's hiding up there.
She makes an appearance every once in a while. Hollow Cult potlucks. One of these days.
Dude,
Colleen,
that'd be awesome.
yeah, Colleen was showing pictures of some fire cheesecake the other day, and I'm like, that's my kryptonite.
Steve does like cheesecake
That
a
is my
lot.
kryptonite. It is. Yeah.
Colleen was on Paranormal Portal.
Oh, awesome! It's weird because like I'll fall asleep to a podcast playing, and it just kind of goes through and picks out like whatever my interests are. And I woke up and I heard, I think his name's Brent, the host of Paranormal Portal. He's like, I'm doing an email, people who send emails in, and he's like, this one's from Birdie Cuda from Idaho. So I'm like, that there's too much connection there for it not to be who I think it is, you know?
Oh, that's awesome.
Oh yeah, it is. That's me. I was like, what a small world that it just happened to pick that up and play it here today. It was today, actually. When I got home from work, I was just laying down in the bed and it popped up there.
That's awesome.
But oh yeah, everybody's calling for a hollow potluck. All
right.
One of these days.
Oh, speaking
Hollow
of,
camp will get set off.
Another thing real quick. This will be on air production meeting. I think I figured out a way. I mean, we'll have to search, but I think I figured out a way to do Night Shift live. Like, have a live show in real person and do Night Shift live at the exact same time.
Oh,
yeah.
Where we can take
where we can take phone calls
live
with people in the building and
in front
everybody
of a
here
live
watching. Yes.
Studio audience.
Yes.
I think that would be
I've been rolling that around in my head and I'm like, this makes sense.
That would be sick.
Like, try to do something on Halloween maybe this year.
That would be sick.
And then have like a massive, like a 2-hour event, like a live, where everybody here can hang out. And then we have real people in person hanging out. Because by then, you know, we've already got a couple mics. We can set mics up in the area for people to share.
True.
We can have people call in. We'll have a bunch of different options.
Yeah, I think you're onto something there.
Yeah,
we've talked about the idea. We've flirted with the idea. I think finding the right venue is going to be
that'll be key. Yep, 100%.
Cheesecake for life, gang. Dylan's in here. That'd be rad. What, having cheesecake? Having cheesecake is rad.
Yeah,
I wish I had some right now.
I like some cherry cheesecake.
I have not strawberry cheesecake that I don't like.
Cheesecake. I kept saying cheesecake. Strawberry cheesecake.
Call it 2 Live 2 Dope, 2 Live 2 Wicket, Hollow Cult Live 2 Wicket.
Bro, you're on to it. You're on the path.
What if we could book it at Pier Marquette, which is haunted anyway?
There you go.
And there's also rooms where if people wanted to come in from out of state, they could stay there.
That's true.
And we could
we got to make sure they have good internet there.
They don't, because it's in the middle of nowhere.
Well, then that poses a problem.
That's true. So, Hollow barbecue. I'm game.
I like the barbecue.
I'm game. I've seen the pictures people post in the Discord Food Network or
Oh my
the Discord Food
gosh.
Network.
That's what it is.
I'm game.
Yeah, that means we have to start our own Hollow Food Network now.
Yeah. I
Our own
am
thing.
the Guy Fieri of my generation.
That'd be awesome. Colleen and I probably
See
would
the
have liked the
resemblance?
cheesecake. I probably would have liked the cheesecake.
It's fire. Man, everybody keeps coming and going. Like I'm watching the numbers and they just go ding,
Yeah, just ba-doop, 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 ba-doop.
But anywho,
Yeah, we got to get going. We have work in the morning.
you had to just kill the buzz.
And man, it is what it is. It's just reality right now.
It is.
It is reality.
I am not looking forward to it. Confined space Thursday.
Woohoo!
Yay. Like I'm a big dude, so most spaces are confined spaces for me. But then you got to put me in a confined space. So it's like extra confined. Not excited.
I can imagine.
But training a new guy, so you know how that goes.
He can fit.
It's all training.
He can
Training.
fit. Right on. Well,
anyway.
Yep. It's time. It's time.
So, Hollow Cult, stay weird. Stay safe. Share Night Shift and the regular show as much as you can.
What's up, Virgil?
Oh, I did see Virgil in here. What's up?
All right, no more sidetrack.
No more sidetrack. Okay. But yeah, stay safe. Stay weird. What's up, Virgil? And until we meet again, where am I going with this? Send cheesecake to our P.O. box.